My name is Bastian Gerner. I'm a senior Foley artist. I have worked on games like Avatar, Frontiers of Pandora and Assassin's Creed Nexus VR alongside many movies. And I want to show you in this video a day in my life working in my own studio, focusing on spot effects. So what are spot effects? Spot effects are all the sounds that we recreate as Foley artists in sync to the moving image that are not footsteps or cloth movement. I showed you these two things in other videos already, and today I'm focusing only on props or spot effects. So all those things that you can see on my desk here are items that I'm gonna make sound with. For example, the steering wheel here, when people are kind of steering and making all those touch movements, I will recreate the sounds for that with that tool, for example. And then, for example, door creaks or gates, we can use that and then put it onto a wooden surface to make it more resonant. So these things you're gonna see in this video, so let's get into it. The traditional way working in Foley is a teamwork approach. So usually you have two persons involved. One, the Foley artist, the person who performs the sounds in sync to the picture in front of the microphone, and the other person, the recordist, who actually handles the Pro Tools or the DAW and also the gear and the microphones and the sound of it all. In my case, I do both jobs at the same time, and my rack is on wheels, so I can move it around the room, that it is always accessible for me, because I want to avoid the long distance between handling and operating the Pro Tools and the gear and performing in front of the microphone. So before we actually start recording the props now, I want to move this rack a bit closer to the desk so that I have it in a direct access for me and I don't have to walk all the distance from here to there all the time when I finish a take. Now I'm in a way better position to operate Pro Tools, just perform my sound effects here, doing all the things, because the desk is very important. In these crime movies you have a lot of stuff, paper thrown on a desk or people like just putting their hands down, and of course I need a storage for all the different items to access them quickly. So having a desk in your studio is really necessary, and it should be a wooden desk with a nice thick plate that has a good sound in general, non-resonant, it has a nice tone. It's not hollow, so that is something you have to look for when you searching for a desk to record on. That can also be a smaller one that is placed in your living room. And yeah, I can now just go put my reverb on if I want to, and then make the size accordingly to what I need, and also get the high cut and low cut shaped properly to what I like, and that's the main thing that I do on this rack, plus operating Pro Tools. And here we go. Let's dive into this movie. It's a primetime crime movie. It's very popular in Germany. People watch that in the millions every Sunday night, and it is basically the 14th movie that I have now worked on of that series within the last 10 years or something. And yeah, I'm looking forward to showing you all around props. Let's do it. Unfortunately, I cannot show you either dialogue or the picture because of NDA. I cannot share this before the movie is released, but I will promise that you will get a lot out of this. The first scene of the movie, the first sound that we're gonna tackle. Little girl is walking barefoot, disorientated in the streets, and she's walking up some stairs, and there's a close-up on her feet. And then she's stepping on a little plant, and the plant is then bouncing back. So that's what we're gonna do. Okay. I think that was good already. Next thing is we're gonna do a scene, typical crime scene, CSI type of thing. All the people are in the crime scene and they're investigating, so they have these suits on, and then they put stuff into plastic bags, and the detective is on her phone and walking through the premises. So I have already gathered the props, which is a phone, I have this one, but I like that one better. It's smaller, but the resonance, because it is a bit more hollow here, is better. So that sticks better through the mix. Resonance is a big topic in Foley. Then I have those plastic gloves. And I also have the plastic bag, which actually feels a bit too big in front of the microphone. So I might have to get another one, and then we do the scene. So I watched the scene again. It's basically the detective in her car, taking a sip from her coffee mug, being on the phone, then entering the house, playing around with her gloves, and then there's this plastic bag involved. I can show you the difference. That's actually the right size, whereas this one, it's very massive. So that could be almost something like a corpse being covered in plastic. All right. And then in the end, there's some iPad handling just the grab sound. Let's do it. Okay. I think that's it. In the end, it was an outdoor scene, and I think the reverb that I triggered was way too big. So I have to check now if it works also without the reverb. I'm sure it does. And so I'm checking the scene now again. And if something doesn't really fit or is to my liking, I will record again. If not, I will move on to the next scene. And then I will have a little break because it gets cold in here. It's minus something outside, and I only have an AC that I can switch on while I'm not recording. So that is something that I'm gonna do now, have a little break for my prayer and lunch, and then also switch on the heating so that I can get a little bit of heat inside again, and then I'm gonna continue with the next thing. So stay with me, we're gonna tackle the next scene. In the next scene, there's gonna be some action. It's a fight scene. The husband is kind of really aggressive and throwing things on the floor and clapping in the hands heavily. And then there's a second part of the scene where the guy is actually reporting that to the detective and sitting on a sofa and lighting himself up a cigarette. So there's also that prop handling involved, and also lighting up the cigarette and then the little glimming sound from pulling the smoke inside. In the scene, there are already some sound effects on the PFX. That means from the production sound that is clear of dialogue. So I'm only adding now the sounds that are missing. So for example, throwing the basket off the table in a very close up. This is a bit too weak there, so I'm emphasizing that. And then there are some sounds missing as well, like grabbing a key from a cupboard. I'm doing that, of course. And then other sounds like, again, pulling like this little case here for sunglasses from the desk. This is also missing, or more or less not audible. So these things I'm adding. And then after that I have another listen, see if there's any additional sound that is needed for that scene. Let's do it. So that was the first one. I think I nailed that already. So now the second one. Again, my cable was a bit... No. I need some reverb here. Too much reverb. Okay. Now a plastic Let's do it again. Alternative. Have a better room impression of the tumbling. Muting the first one so that the editors can choose from it. Then I have the key. Okay. I also went away from the microphone into the off when the person is putting the key in their bag, so that I have all, and then the wife is putting back the plastic on the desk, but also more far away. Okay. Okay, that's already done. The action is done. Now the cigarettes. So you can hear, okay, the cigarette is already on the desk. It's on a glass table and there is no package of the cigarette. So I just need a clean glass kind of movement, which I don't have at the moment, so maybe I can fake that. And this is the part of Foley where you can get creative, you know. This is just now spontaneous, like what can I do to improvise that? Because I don't have a proper glass thingy at the moment, which I definitely have to get. So maybe we could use that. Or we use this one. It's a bit small. This is only plastic. So let's use that. Okay. Then I have to listen to the lighter, because there's a lighter involved that is already audible. I think the sound is okay, but we can maybe enhance it a little bit. It's like, and then let go. That was okay, but my hand was a bit too present in this whole thing. Yeah, I like that one. It's also like matching the character. Like a little bit like laid back, over, like hungover. It's way too close. Now I basically matched everything onto the dialogue and also adjusted the volume and the reverb in a way so that it integrates into the scene already, and you don't really know that there is additional Foley, but the scene feels more cinematic because it's not as roomy as it was in the original dialogue. It adds a little layer to it that makes it more present in a way that it feels natural, and that is always the goal when you record Foley and sound designing for drama. It's maybe different with animation and video games, but this line of work is really about make the recordings and the design sounds integrate into the production sound so that it feels as one. So I checked now everything again, the stuff that I recorded for the action scene and the smoking. Smoking now works perfectly, but I forgot something, the smoking sound itself. So we're gonna do this now. And also with the first impact of the basket, the impact was missing. I made the scratching very direct and good, but the grab sound is missing. So I'm adding the grab sound now and the smoking. Okay, we can layer that. The one was more for the desk, the impact on the desk, and the other one, the impact of the basket. So we can layer that and have two different sounds to choose from now. So I think now the thing is much stronger. And let's continue to the smoking. So usually I'm using just a cigarette and then spin on top of the cigarette in order to get that sizzling sound of the glimming. But as I don't have a cigarette right now, I'm just using some old tobacco from a cigar in my hand and see what I can do with that. Again. I pressed N on my Pro Tools, and that means that the cursor continues and doesn't jump back to the original position, which is always annoying. Now I add some stomach kind of noise here. And I also think the noise, the sound here is a bit too big. Maybe reduce the amount of stuff that I have in my hand. Okay, let's try. Okay. And now the ashtray. Okay. I wished it to be more tonal, so let's do it again. The last impact was a bit too late in timing, so I'm moving that towards the second last impact, muting the first take, putting it on the right track. Now let's play it back. Only the Foley. Okay. I think that works pretty well. So now I really have to make some coverage in terms of timeline. Therefore, we're gonna switch to a little bit of a time lapse. And within the time lapse, I will explain a little bit more about how to handle a prop properly. After the time lapse, I'm gonna show you the session as well, how everything is layered, and so you can see the structure of the session. And then we're gonna wrap it up after all. Thanks for watching up until this point, and now enjoy the time lapse. Performing props, that is a challenge, but also very much fun, because it's demanding, but also have a lot of different stuff to do with footsteps and cloth. It's always the same process, but with props you have a leather bag and you have a lot of different paper, and then you go to cutlery and porcelain and a bottle and whatever. So that is very entertaining in a way, and also the curiosity about what to get as a prop to make the sound is always a challenge, and sometimes it's also a bit overwhelming if you have scenes that are just packed with props, and then you have to find all the stuff, and until a scene is done it takes ages, and then the next scene will be the same, and it's an ongoing struggle to go and work and work and work and work until you have the things done. So therefore, yeah, this is part of the job. If you want to be a Foley artist, you definitely have to get the work done. Let's have a look into the session. So all the green tracks here, that is what we recorded. And the most amazing situation for me was there was just a little hand sound here in the end, in one scene, that I thought in the dialogue, in the production sound, it is already there, and I wanted to enhance it. And then after I recorded that little sound, I realized, the hand is already here recorded from my end, and it wasn't audible in the dialogue. So that was really cool that I recorded something that even convinced me that I didn't record that, so that it was production. And that's really the goal for me, to make sounds that you cannot really distinguish from the original, so it blends really well. That's always my goal with these type of movies. And other than that, I can explain you the session in general. I'm recording the artificial reverb always on a separate track, so there you can see there's always a little bit of reverb. Even in outdoor scenes, I have it, of course, a little bit less than that, but still I have that running with me. And therefore, yeah, I have to still finish another 60 minutes here of that movie as soon as possible. And this is how a day looks like in my life. Thanks a lot for watching up until the end. It means that you're really dedicated and you really want to learn Foley and the art of sound design and creating sound effects. I really appreciate that. If you want to watch more, then feel free to watch the next video. And if you want to get into the mentoring with me, then just reach out to me via DM on Instagram, or just write a comment here. If you have further questions, also put that in the comments, and then we'll get you to the next level. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one. Peace, the Foley teacher.